You control mine.
And I always keep it off. Do you want me to turn it on usually?
No, no.
Okay. I usually just turn it off, because it never gets too hot or too cold in our office until it gets like really, really hot outside.
Yes, and then it will get very cold, or very hot.
Yeah,
and
then I'll
it gets
turn
very-
it off. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think you're ready to go.
Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
you.
Take a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Oh, wait, what time? Is it 11 o'clock yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was 11 o'clock. I'm so
No
sorry.
worries, I'm
You know,
ready to
it's-
go.
We always get
It
through
is
the
always
last.
run late 5 minutes.
No,
That's the standard time.
that's how it is, yes, no worries.
Yeah, usually you go to different offices and teach like that, if I'm correct.
I don't usually teach,
Because
we
I
have-
saw your video from Annette, I think, you went to some other.
I do go to marketing meetings and do
Oh,
presentations and
that-
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if I'm invited, I definitely go. Oh no, I'm going
Either.
back. I'm going back.
I'm going with you.
Everybody has that fear.
No, I love him, he knows that.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, can't complain, just trying to cope with the shifting market. Kind of feels like, well, feels like 1990 in a way, feels like 08.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster. Every morning I get up, I'm like, God, please don't.
Right, oh, I know, yeah,
Yeah.
well, it seems to be moving. There's a lot of reversals at the start, so it seems to be moving in the right direction.
We should,
Yeah, I think
we're used to it, right?
yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just,
just, it's like,
It's just got
something just flip the switch. It's just,
the pandemic just changed everything.
I hear you. You speaking this? No.
He's sitting in the back, so he don't say anything.
So are you on the HOA board? Are you on the HOA board yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of, I've tried to, started with
Good.
join the meeting first,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am on
You
my
get over
HOA.
here? Good.
Yeah. I'm on the board for my HOA.
You're right up front there.
Yeah, our HO has a lot of issues.
You can bring a lot, you can bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome. Good to hear it.
So we'll wait another minute or two and then we'll get started,
Great.
sorry. Okay. So good morning, everyone.
Good
morning.
Ooh, up and awake, the way I like it. I was just coming down 680. I was telling her that there was a whole car just rolled over, and as I go, I'm seeing in the back of my rear window that car flipping over, and I'm like, oh my God. So if I'm a little shaky, I apologize. I'm not nervous up here. I've been doing this for God knows how long. Talking to people comes easily for me. You should have been at my first one, where I was wearing a jacket so nobody sees I'm sweating. But no, I love the real estate industry. I have been with Bay East, so my name is Roya Chaudhry. I am your MLS director at Bay East, so anything that has to do with the MLS, whether it's the rules, it's the system, it's the product, it goes through me and I funnel it to the right people. I'm not the decision maker, believe me, I'm not a decision maker, but I'm the person who funnels things through. So been in the real estate industry with Bay East for almost 22 years. So worn a lot of hats, seen a lot of different type of markets. It's crazy right now, but believe me, hang in there. It's been crazy before and we have gotten over it. So today what I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to talk about different things that Bay East has and goes through some of the rules and what NAR is throwing at us, what new products that we're bringing. So it should be an interactive thing. I usually don't come here and go strictly with my slides because I like the discussion. We learn more with that. So as I'm moving forward, please, let's start a conversation. Let's talk, because I learn more from this than sitting behind my desk and going reading things. So MLS rules, I just had to give it a topic. I gave it that topic because MLS rules are near and dear to my heart. That was my main job for 10 years. And then I got bored for a while. So I went to my boss and said, you have to give me something else because when I'm bored, I don't do good. And then after, it says be careful what you ask for. And she just piled on and on and on. Roy, are you bored? Here's a new project. Roy, are you bored? Here's a new project. But I thrive with that. But MLS rules are my babies. First thing we're going to talk about are the data shares. So in Paragon, when you log into the MLS system and you add a listing, it just doesn't stay in Paragon. We automatically disseminate it to all these MLSs for you. So a while back, if you have been in the business before that, you had to actually click on a link, go into that system, and add the listing there manually. And before that, you had to join that MLS to add the listing in their system. So things evolve, things change. Now, when you add a listing in the Paragon MLS system, it goes to all these MLSs within 5 minutes. So it gets disseminated there. And the other thing is if you have clients that want to search in those areas, you just search in Paragon. You don't have to go into any other MLS to conduct a search. If you know, we recently just added Tuolumne County in there too. So Tuolumne County, your listing will go there, their listings come here. So you have all that exposure. Your clients' listings get all that exposure. Can
I ask you, just on the previous slide,
Yeah.
which one of these is the Tuolumne County? Oh,
The-
that's not there.
I have to update it. I just didn't add
So
the
there's a
logo.
ninth one there.
Yeah, it's automatically in Paragon for you,
Right.
so you don't have to do anything. This
And
was
I
just,
suppose it's two-way.
Correct,
So
it
anyone
is.
who's entering there, we are not missing.
nope, you're not missing anything. Their listings are in Paragon and your listings are in their system. So it's all, and if you're wondering, hey, how do I know which areas these MLSs cover? How do I get that information? So if you need to bookmark one site, it's bayeast.org. Go to Bay East. Everything that I'm talking to you about is under the MLS tab, of course. Click on the MLS. In the drop-down menu, there's a link called Data Share. And when you click on that link, you'll see a map, and it's an interactive map. So if you're wondering, hey, do I have coverage in this county? You just click on the county, and it will give you all the details, yes, for the listings. And will your key or your lockboxes work there automatically too? And if it does not work there, what do you need to do in order for it to work there? So all that information is in that interactive map for you.
Roya, I have a question.
Yes.
How about Modesto area?
Yeah, that's MetroList.
And that includes, because last time that I went to Bay East, they told me that I think either Stockton, Modesto, somewhere, they were not on there. Is that a separate one?
Fresno probably. Fresno's not covered by MetroList, but anything from San Joaquin County all the way to Sacramento County, it's covered under MetroList.
Okay.
Yes, so you have, the thing is that your key does not automatically work there, or your
Oh,
Bay
that's
East
what it
lockbox
was.
does not automatically work there. So you have to get your key co-opt. Doesn't mean you have to join their MLS, but you have to pay a fee for your Bay East key to work in their area.
Okay, and that's San Joaquin.
That's MetroList, San Joaquin County and Sacramento County, yes. Yep, yes.
How much is that fee lately?
Last time I checked, so don't quote me, do check it again. Last time I checked, it was $45 quarterly.
Oh, it used to be 50, okay.
Yeah.
I will quote you.
Don't quote me, don't quote me, this is last time I checked.
I just paid you 75.
For which MLS?
Metrolist?
Metrolist, so they upped it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I hear
And is
80?
that, is that quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay, 75 quarterly.
75 quarterly for the MLS?
No, for your key to work there.
For the keyword.
Yeah, MLS, you already have the data for the MLS, so no need to join the MLS to get
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
same
no, I
data.
was just wondering, cause then I have a lot of family in Sacramento, so.
Oh, okay.
I might as well get that activated then.
Yeah, for your key, you could
Yeah.
definitely
Do I-
need to do
Do I
that.
go through you guys to do that?
No, you need to call them.
The
So if you go
Metrolist.
into that interactive map
Uh-huh.
and click on the Metro, any San Joaquin,
Mhm.
Sacramento, it'll bring you keys and it'll give you phone number and what do you need to do to get your key working there.
Okay.
It'll have
okay.
all that information there. Okay. So what's new in the MLS? Photos. We get emails all the time after, of course, it's after the transaction's closed. Remove the photos. My clients want to remove the photos. So there is a law in California, the CCPA law in California, that the MLSs have to keep the data within the MLS for 3 years. So when we receive those emails that says, please remove the photos, unfortunately, we can't. Not that it's a Bay East policy, because it's an actual law that we have to keep it in with 3 years. So our candid response is, unfortunately, we cannot, but we will stop the syndication. So the listing stayed in the MLS, it didn't go out. It didn't do you justice because you want to add those sold listings and your profiles out there in the syndication sites. So member of the public sees what you have done. It's like your resume, right? So recently, we added, this screen should be familiar to you. So you know that's when you upload photos to your listing. Now when you go there, you will see 2 extra buttons. It says mark private or mark public. So it's default at public. What does that mean? That means all the photos that you upload, we will go ahead and send those photos outside of the MLS. However, if you mark it private, it stays in the MLS, but it does not go outside of the MLS. So in the data feeds, we pull those photos back. It doesn't go to any third-party sites. Yes.
So, couple of questions.
Mhm.
Most of the times this happens.
Yes,
Is when I'm representing the buyer.
correct.
And that request, like you said, comes after the transaction is
Mhm.
closed, because they actually want the photos.
When they're purchasing
they're
it, of course.
purchasing.
Of course.
But then this, I don't know where this privacy thing comes in,
Okay.
after,
Mhm.
and then they don't want the picture.
Correct.
So this clicking has to be when we are, as a listing agent, entering it, or can this be done subsequent to the transaction close? And who can do it? As in, if I'm representing the buyer, I've had these conversations.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm in support of it.
Correct.
But it's the client request.
Yes.
Can the pictures go off? I go to the listing agent, client has requested the pictures to be off.
Mhm.
And I've had this response, no, I have paid a lot of money for that, and I don't want to, this is my marketing, I will not take it off.
So you can so there's a couple of questions within your
Correct.
question. The first thing, you can request, so the listing agent has to do it. The listing belongs to the listing broker, so the buyer agent sending us request, we don't honor it. We say, please get us something in writing from the listing broker or listing agent. The listing broker can say, okay, we'll go ahead and tell the MLS to mark it private. After it's closed, we have to go in and mark it private. Before they mark it sold, they can go in and mark it
Sure.
private as well. Now, the request of, do they have to honor that request? No, they do not. They can't say, no, I want to keep them up there. It's my right to have them up there, so they don't have to. Majority of the time, I've seen 98% of the time the request is coming, the listing agent goes and does it. For whatever reason, that 2%, they don't want to, we can't force them.
Okay.
But I think the listing agent doesn't realize that by removing all those photos, it affects their resume, their online resume.
Correct.
Yeah, so as a listing broker, I mean, the seller has authorized you to post those photos on the MLS.
Yes.
and you're in control of those photos.
Yep,
No one can tell you you have to do it.
remove it, correct.
Right, the buyer can kick and scream all they want,
Yep.
but you do not have to do it. You have done it pursuant to a listing agreement for which you have the authority to do.
Do so, yep.
Now, keep in mind, guys, who benefits by those photos? You benefit by those photos. When you go to do a market analysis, the appraisers benefit by those photos.
Yeah.
That's why the law was passed, because the appraisers need those photos in order to do their job. So we, it does not benefit us as an industry to remove those photos. And I think Avi brought up a good point. The buyers love them when they're looking for
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
It's like, well, wait a minute, you can't have it both ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Those photos need to remain there for the buyers, for the agents, and for the appraisers. Take a hard line on it. And sometimes your clients get a little upset, but they don't have any reason to have any privacy concerns.
Sure.
The property that's in that photo
Definitely gonna get
is
burgled.
not theirs, and it's no longer there.
Mm.
You think it's hard to figure out the floor plan of a house? If someone really wanted to break into your house,
They'll break
very
in.
easy to figure out their floor plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so get realistic about this.
Yeah.
So what I would do is with this new feature, instead of having, sending that request to the listing agent, asking them to remove it, I would say, hey, can you please mark them private?
Yeah.
So they're still in the MLS,
Yeah.
it benefits everything
Right.
that we just said. And it makes your clients happy too, because they're no longer seeing it in the outside world, but you're seeing it inside the MLS. So just change your wording from delete to marking it private. That's it. But that's available for you.
So, I'm sorry to go back on this. So I had the same issue with some clients, and it's the same question, when they want to see beautiful pictures when they buy it, and afterwards they want to have a big fight with me
Yeah.
to remove it. I say, it's not in my control. Google has it, Facebook has it, I don't have these pictures. The point I'm trying to make here, although we mark it private after the sale,
Mhm.
does it remove from other sites
Yes.
also, including like Facebooks and
Any
all the
site
IDX coded
that
sites?
we have sent the data to,
But there's some extracts from you though too.
well, we can only pull the data back if it's gone from the MLS.
Okay.
If they have added into the social media, if they
Right.
have added it in someplace else,
Right.
that's not under our control and
Correct.
it's not for us to pull.
For sure, I understand.
Yes.
Perfect,
Can
thank
we
you.
talk about numbers here? Because Keller Williams states that we syndicate with over 350 locations.
Yes.
How many do you send them to?
So we send them, so there are IDX sites. IDX sites are agents, public-facing websites. Those are the sites that you have. We have, and this is just Bay East. Please note that I showed you that we have data share partners and they have IDX syndication sites. Just Bay East, we have about 1,500 agent IDX sites. And then we have syndication portals such as homes.com, Redfin, realtor.com, or all those sites that we syndicate to. So you're looking about, for Bay East, about 1,500 to 1,800 sites that we send data to.
So you're including the aging IDX site.
Yes.
The is it about 350 that Keller Williams promotes?
Depends, because we don't send to a lot of third-party
So,
sites.
my point is,
Yeah.
you send to a specific number,
Yeah?
and then
And
a
then
lot
you
of
send.
those turn around and syndicate to other sites, and it grows exponentially.
We syndicate,
Yeah,
yes.
well, the point is, it's way beyond anybody's control,
Yep.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a totally, nothing can come out of the site 100%.
yeah.
And I'm a buyer. I'm a member of the public, and sometimes I make these dumb requests too. Sorry, it's just my personal opinion. But here's the thing. That house that you listed, was it listed before? Did those listings have photos? So by you removing the photos from that one listing, doesn't mean the photos from all the previous listings get removed as well. Because if you Google it, it's still there. So again, some privacy concerns, I totally get it. They're legit. Some just use the term to take the data out, and unfortunately, we cannot. Okay, we added a new field in the MLS. I don't know if you noticed it. it says property faces. This is a request an agent sent us, say, hey, we have clients that want to search by this data. Can we have it in the MLS? So we added this field, however, it's not a required field.
That's good.
It's not a required field. So when you're adding a listing, you can definitely add that information, and you can search by this field as well. So if you have a client that says, I want a property that faces south, you can go search for that, but keep in mind, not every listing might have completed that field, so it's not the full data.
I don't want the liability or the extra
Exactly.
effort, if I'm the listing agent, extra effort to fill that in, or the liability, oh, it was only 110 degrees.
This way or
east.
that way, yes.
I'm not doing it too.
Which is why we didn't make it required, because we didn't want you to have that liability. And my question is it you facing from the door, or are you
Yeah.
facing to the door?
Okay.
So those things add up, but it's there. We just added a new member benefit. I don't know if you utilized it. It's called Real Report, and you can find it in the Skittle right under the photo. There's that Skittle, that RR Skittle, that you can access it there. Or all the products that we have for you in Paragon are under the Resources tab too. Think of it as Carfax for homes. So it has all that neat data that you go and collect from everywhere else in one location. So if you bring up a property and you're like, I wonder if it has this, click on that little Skittle and it pulls that data automatically for you. If you add a listing in Paragon, for that property, you will automatically get a report in your email. So that comes to you automatically. What a great thing to share with your client, because they might have things that they weren't sure of. Or if you have a buyer that's interested, send it to them and say, hey, these are all the things, the report information about this property. Now, be the knowledgeable person, read it first before you send it out so you know what you're sending it out to. But definitely take a look, and it has an AI component there too. So when you go click on that little Skittle and you get the report, and if you have questions, there's a little chat box there that's an AI that you can have a conversation about the report, and it'll give you information about it. So if you don't want to read everything, you just go to the AI portion and say, give me 10 bullet points that I need to tell my sellers about this property, or give me 10 bullet points that I should tell my buyers about this property, and it'll give that for you. So definitely try it out. Yes, 2 questions.
Yeah, I happened to be on that class this morning.
The Real Report
For a little-
class,
for a little-
yeah.
For a little while. When I first heard about this and I saw the word permits, I had some concerns.
Yeah.
But I did learn or realize that there is a distinction between the buyer report and the seller report.
Yes.
The buyer report will pull permits. The seller report will not.
Not pull the
Okay?
permits,
And
correct.
that's huge, because you never, ever want to be trying to, as a listing agent, trying to be disclosing the status of permits.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see that.
They
the
made that
permits
distinction,
is not
yes.
on the seller side in the report.
And as you're taking a look at it, if you have ideas of improvement, or I wish it had this, the vendor is really proactive. So please let us know. We'll send the information to vendor, add something, modify something. So if you have stuff like that, let me know, but take a look at it. What we do is when we bring a product for our members, we only sign a 1-year agreement, because we don't know whether the product will do good, will not do good. So in 6 months, we will be reviewing the data, saying, hey, are our members using it? Is this something that they want? Is there another product that's better? So if we see that the usage is extremely low, then we get rid of it. Like, why pay for something if it's not being used? Let's go bring other things. So definitely take advantage of these when we bring out for you. The other thing that we're launching, and you're going to see, so this is the Resources tab in Paragon that I was telling you, and all the products that we provide. On June 10th, you're going to see another product called Cubicasa. And this is so you have to register via this link. Okay, and I'll tell you why. So you register via this link. Once you register, you go and download the Cubicasa app from the App Store. And the Cubicasa app draws a floor plan. So you fire up the app and you walk around the property, and it's going to create a floor plan for you. And the good thing is, there's a toggle there. Okay, show me the measurements, or don't show me the measurement, because again, if some people like the measurement, showing the measurements, some people say, nope, I don't want to show the measurements, I just want to show the floor plan. So it will create the floor plan for you. So the basic version is at no cost to all of you. Of course, with every vendor, they want to make money, so there are upgrades to the product. And the reason I told you you have to register via this link, it's a special link for Bay East, because when you log in, they're going to realize, okay, Bay East member already registered. For any of the upgrade products, you're going to get 25% off. And that's regardless of how many times you use it, okay? So June 10th, that's coming. And then when you get your floor plan, of course, you can upload it as one of the photos in Paragon. Okay? So again, you scan it, you upload it, and you receive the floor plan, and then you can upload that into the MLS. Okay.
So, sorry,
No, it's
so when
okay.
you scan it, is it scanning all the rooms, and when you go into the house, or will it,
Yeah,
or you know the floor plan by the address?
No, you have to walk around the
Okay,
house.
okay,
Yeah.
so, okay, I just wanted to, okay,
It's,
thank you.
I tried it in my own house and it blew me away because I'm walking around and there's things around and it realizes it. It
Okay.
realizes it, so it omits, there's a sofa there, don't worry about it. Oh, okay, there was a door there, so it'll show the door there.
Okay.
So try it out. Again, try it on your own house first, because
Yeah.
whose house do you know the best, right?
Right.
And then when you have clients, you can say, hey, I can do a floor plan for you at no cost as well, and upload it there.
So when's that coming?
June 10th.
And does it measure or does
It measures as well, but it's up to you. There's a toggle there, show measurement in the floor plan or don't show. We leave that up to your decision.
And it's pretty accurate, like you can.
Very
start from- you
accurate,
can
yeah.
start from the front door and go
Uh-huh.
from each area, and does it matter which way you go?
It
or-
doesn't matter which
Okay.
way you go, it will start creating it for you.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So how can I give my clients access to search the MLS and them stay connected with me? So I know you have your IDX pages and then you have those email drips, but those email drips are so antiquated. It's like, it's a link that they have to click on and then they have to go back and search their email for that link. What we have is what's called Collaboration Center within Paragon. So when you're setting up for that email drip, there is a second option that's called Collaboration Center. If you set them up for that, they go into a specific site that's for you. It has your picture, they're connected to you, and they can do a search for whatever they like. And it's just like, one of the social medias, like, dislike, maybe I like this property, and you can see all that information in the back end. So you see a property, they told you I want to see properties between 500 to $1 million, and all of a sudden they're loving properties that are 1.5. And you're like, so they do have some little room to go up, and you contact, hey, I saw you liking 123 Main Street, do you want me to schedule an appointment for that? So much better than those email drips and email links. So try it out. If you have not tried the Collaboration Center, please set yourself as your own client first. Again, check out the experience. What are they experiencing? Okay, when I do this, what do I see in the back? So you're familiar with what they're doing and how they're accessing it way before, okay? Yes.
What tab do you find the Collaboration Center under?
So when you're setting up an auto email notification,
Okay.
right there, it'll give you, do you want email or do you want Collab Center? And you just, and if you have current clients, you can switch them from auto drip to Collaboration Center.
Yeah, I had an experience a couple weeks back where I had some clients that kind of on again, off again in the market, and to talk to the husband, he's been, looking on these sites off and on for months and months and months.
Yeah.
Well, I just saved him all that time and energy of logging in and out and looking at it, because now I have them just on that
On
center
one site, yeah.
automatically, and so now he can just sit back and wait for the new ones, the price change, everything just to come to him. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to waste any time logging in and out. all
In
the
and out of different places,
And they get to
exactly.
reject them too, so you know if they're, you know which ones they still may have
Yep.
interest in.
We're looking at, and I don't know, I'm just looking at, there's an AI product called Respi. One of the functionality in that is, and this is for buyers, so it's in the collaboration center. They can, they love this specific type of a kitchen. They can upload the photo of that kitchen in the collaboration center and tell them, hey, show me properties that have similar kitchens, and it will bring up the listing. So I'm working with that vendor to bring that product. It has some glitches in there, so we're working with them, but I'm hoping I can bring that to all of you soon, because what an experience that would be. Okay. Paragon user, so we send a survey to all of you annually. On an annual basis, and I read every single answer. Believe me, that's my job. That's what I do. So when you take that survey, I am reading that, I'm analyzing it. The number one thing that we're told is that the Paragon interface is old. It's very antiquated. We need a facelift for Paragon. So our Paragon vendor is called ICE. So if you ever hear ICE, that's just the vendor for Paragon. I know. Every time I'm going to age myself, I think that song comes into my mind, and I'm like, I was in high school, ice, ice, baby. I'm like, uh-oh, every time I said that. But so they are working on a new version. They have been working on a new version of Paragon, and now you have access to it. So when you log into Paragon, there is a button called Connect. So they're going to call it Connect MLS. And so this is their new version, and you can go in there right now and start using it. And what you do in Connect will transfer into the Paragon system, and what you do in Paragon transfers to Connect. So there you can work one day here and one day there, makes no difference. So please take a look at it. It is in beta version, so it is new. We want to get the kinks out. We want to get your input, because the day our vendor comes and says the current Paragon is going to go away, I want all of you to be one step ahead of time and already know the new system. Okay? So when you have time, sometimes you have 10, 15 minutes to spare, go in there, play along with it, and you shoot me an email. I hate it. You won't hurt my feelings. It's not my system. I didn't build it. Oh, Roya, what if we change this? This is missing from there. So please give me that feedback. And don't worry about hurting my feelings.
So you can just go in there right now and check it out if you want.
Yeah, you can go in there and play around with it as much as you want right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's live for all of you. Okay. So we also have fun stuff in Paragon. Did you know you could change your themes? Yeah, I see some nodding heads. So you could go into preferences right here on top. And then you can just go to system changes and user interfaces, and they have all kind of fun little things. I change mine every season, just so I know which season I'm in. Right now, our season's bipolar. It can't make up its mind whether it's summer, winter, or fall. But it's kind of nice to just have some items there.
It's for the user interface.
Sorry? Yeah, it's just for the user interface. So we're going to jump from Paragon into some of the rules. Okay? Yes?
So I had something on a couple of, well, at least one question.
Yeah.
So one thing I've observed lately,
Uh-huh.
and this is about, I think, data share.
Okay.
So when I put the listing in, when it gets syndicated,
Mm-hmm.
Zillow Zillow, Redfin, they have estimates.
Estimates,
Everyone-
yes.
Yeah, everyone is crazy about that.
I
right?
know.
So anyhow, the one specific thing I've observed, certainly for me, so I don't know if Based is just singling me out.
Oh, this estimate is not ours. Let me stop you right
So
there.
you hear me out. So that is an estimate, usually on that home.
Yes.
But when the listing gets syndicated out,
Mhm.
I have seen this estimate goes away.
Yes, I've noticed that lately too.
Redfin remains.
Yes.
Redfin estimate remains.
Yes.
Realtor estimate remains.
Zillow is
Homes.com.
removing them.
Zillow is removing them. So
Yes.
is that Is that something, because I get asked this question,
Yeah.
hey, Zillow, I don't
Where's
see.
this estimate? Yeah.
The seller is asking, I don't see this estimate.
Yep.
It's gone.
So it's not something that we control. So
Okay.
it's not something, there's no trigger that Bay East does that controls it. In your listings, however, when you're entering a listing, there is a question that says AVM.
Correct.
If you say no to that,
Yeah.
no sites
No
can
sites
use your
can-
listings for
that's right.
AVM. But if you say yes, then they can use your listing. For Zillow, and I have reached out to them because agents are notifying me, here, Roy, the Zestimate's not there for my listing. What their candidate responds to us, I know they're doing some upgrades to their system. What are they doing? I don't know, but I know something's up. The candidate response that I'm getting is that there's not enough data for them that they have accumulated to have a Zestimate for that property. That's
It was there.
I know. I
You
know.
just removed it after the listing
That's
came
the
on the
fight
market.
I'm fighting them. So whatever they're building, whatever upgrades they're doing to their system, something is affecting their Zestimate. They're just not coming out and saying it. And this is my guess. This is something that I'm guessing.
I mean, I just wanted to make sure that it's not just, that it's affecting agents in Bay East.
No,
It
it's overall.
Ideally it should affect all agents,
Yes.
because otherwise we are getting
Singled out.
singled
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Because my next question will be related to rules,
Mhm.
wherein we do have a different rule in Bay East
Yes,
versus say MLS listing as it pertains to coming soon.
correct.
And that just puts us on a backseat versus someone entering a listing in MLS listing and can keep their coming soon. Now, I don't know if that does any good,
Yeah.
but it's there and they can have their coming soon forever versus ours will get shut off at 30 days.
So here's the thing. Did you know we changed our rule in January?
I did not.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm here.
Yes, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
So, let's just talk about it since coming soon. So we have a coming soon status, and coming soon status comes with a set of rules. One of the rules for the coming soon was that your coming soon had a expiration date of 30 days. After 30 days, it went automatically coming soon canceled. You could have relisted it back, but that specific one got canceled. We changed that rule to match our data shares. We took the 30-day thing out, and now it stays there as coming soon till the expiration date kicks in.
Oh.
Yeah, we changed it in January.
All right.
Yeah.
My seller will be happy.
Good, I'm glad.
Because we're dealing with a situation and it will push us out of the 30 days.
Yeah.
And
So-
I'm like, oh my God, now I'm gonna sit there and having to call you guys, can I get a 5-day extension, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so
great.
that's gone. You no longer have to do that. So while we're talking
So
about
which expiration are we talking about?
the listing agreement
Oh,
expiration
that's-
date
oh,
that you
yeah.
enter in the
Oh, yeah.
system.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it stays there. So if it's coming soon, expiration date comes in, unfortunately, your listing agreement has expired, so the listing's gonna expire.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
that's great.
But other than that, whenever you want before the expiry, you can go and flip it to active.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
while we're talking about coming soon, and we worked this out outside, I told them to ask me that question. It's like, NAR, I don't know if you heard, in March, NAR threw this bombshell about sellers' options,
Yes.
the new delayed DMEL, delayed marketing listing options. And the options were the exclusive listings. Exclusive listings we have had forever. You have clients, they don't want to put it on the MLS, you sign the waiver, you submit it to us, it does not go into the MLS system, you sell it exclusively. And then they said, a new option, delayed marketing exempt listing, DMEL. So they said MLSs have to provide this new option for sellers. So we looked at the DMEL, and everything that NAR said the DMEL has to have, our coming soon already has it. So we were one step ahead of it. So we didn't have to make any changes. The one thing that NAR did say, we had discretion on 2 parts. It says MLSs, you decide whether you want to do this. It's not a requirement. One was if you want to have a time period, which we removed in January. Now we're going back and saying, I don't know. Does it need a time frame? We don't know. So we sent a survey. We're asking members, so I'm gonna ask you right here, right now, I know you're gonna say, nope, don't have one, because for your clients, but do you think coming soon should have a time period where they get fall off of the MLS?
I do.
Yeah,
I
Okay,
think
I
we
think
should.
so.
okay, what time period do you think it's a good, we had 30 days.
30 days, I think. is pretty
30
good.
day was good?
Yeah, I think
Too
so.
earlier than 2 weeks?
30
No,
days is pretty good.
That's too early? 30 days?
I think that's
Thir-
reasonable.
So this is what we're doing, we're talking,
Right.
we're not making any, we have until September 30th to make a decision. Whether we make a decision or not, don't know yet, we're still gathering information.
It's reasonable, because sometimes people put it for months and you don't know when they're coming live.
There's definitely special circumstances, those are.
Right, but I think I am in
Yeah.
support, all I'm saying is we need to have that regulation that is.
Throughout the data
throughout,
shares.
Unified,
Because
yeah.
I don't want someone in San Jose putting an MLS listing, it coming
Waste too
soon
much.
and trying to market
Yeah.
that
Correct.
forever and
Yeah.
not wanting to go on, trying to do all the things. I don't wanna take the brokerage name that they're
Let's not,
trying.
yes.
That's what they wanna try. All I'm saying is let's all be consistent.
Okay, that's
We
good
can't have-
feedback.
key, yeah.
Now,
Yes.
whether it's 30 days, which I frankly do think it's, my personal thing is, I think it should be 60 days. That gets you a little bit more flexibility, just because we're dealing with sometimes tenant issues,
Mm-hmm.
remodel issues, things slip. So sometimes 30 days just comes on you right away.
Yep.
Again, my personal opinion, but all I need is it's consistent across all the 7, 8, 9.
See,
11.
this is the feedback, great,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if we are going to make change, please
Should
make
be.
sure that it's consistent
And
with the
everybody's
data
aware
share
of it.
MOSs. Sometimes we can accomplish that, sometimes it's really hard, because their board can say, I don't care, this is what I'm deciding for my agent, so, but we will keep it as consistent as possible with them. So that was one thing that NAR said, hey, MLSs, you have the discretion on that. The other thing was, DOM and CDOM, days on market and cumulative days on market.
Yeah.
They say MLSs, do nothing, do something, we'll leave it up to you.
Get rid of CDOM.
Get rid of CDOM, we're hearing a lot of that.
No agents like that.
No listing agent likes that. No listing agent likes that.
buyer
But if
does.
you're working with a buyer, the buyer agents like it. So we sent a survey out, I don't know if you took that survey, we sent a survey out saying, does CDOM help you when you have a buyer? 49.5% said yes. And then we said, does CDOM negates when you have a listing? And they're like, yeah, it hurts my seller.
Of course.
So I
Yeah.
have a question.
Big time.
Say, I'm just trying to understand CDOM and then days on market
Yeah.
first, like where the listing comes off, say the seller decides not to sell.
Uh-huh.
And then after a month later, 2 months later, they go again, the CDOM restarts again, right? Or does it
After 30
accumulate?
Yeah, so when does DOM and CDOM restart? So days on market, if you have a listing, you cancel it, you relist it right away, DOM resets automatically to 0.
Mhm.
You don't have to wait, you don't have to do anything. CDOM, regardless of who lists it, agent, different brokerage, same brokerage, if you cancel it and relist it within 30 days, it'll keep counting.
Oh, okay. So it's
But
about a
if you
month.
cancel it, don't put it on hold.
Okay.
If you cancel it and wait 30 days, I always say 31 days. Just, I don't trust technology sometimes. Wait 31 days and then relist it back, everything zeroes out.
Okay.
Yes.
And that relisting needs to be an active status or coming soon status?
It could be active or coming soon.
Okay,
Oh,
'cause
so it's-
I have, for my upcoming listing, that is a competing home
Uh-huh.
that was with an agent, got canceled, and has been relisted as a coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
I will observe if there is a CDOM counter.
The trigger.
That's keeping on going, or that's been reset, but they have done that within literally 15 days.
They relisted
They're
it.
back with a different agent, but as a coming soon.
Yep. So what happens is, in coming soon status, it'll keep ticking. But the watch period is when they flip it to new.
Okay,
That's when because when the coming soon flips,
to active.
yeah, it zeroes
should have-
out.
But it should have added, because this was not
Yes.
30 days, this should
Yep,
add
that should add to that,
to the
yes.
previous one.
DOM should zero out.
Sure.
But
That
CDOM should
be,
continue.
because technically they were not outside of the
Yes.
31.
So
Yep.
CDOM is not cumulative now, correct?
It is
When it's
cumulative.
active- When it's active?
Yeah,
So it adds CDOM plus the active days together,
no,
No,
so
it doesn't
CDOM is
say.
from the day you entered into the MLS, it starts counting,
even if it's coming soon.
even if it's coming soon. Well, if it was off 30 days, let's say it's a fresh
Yeah, it
listing, in
resets.
coming soon, the DOM and CDOM tick, 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 tick.
Right.
But the minute you flip it to new, everything zeroes out. For DOM and CDOM.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
if it hasn't been
Correct.
relisted prior.
Correct.
Yes, so everything zeroes
Sure,
out
sure.
at that time.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to look to see when it's in coming soon, just be on hold. We have 2 requests from 2 brokerages saying when it's on coming soon, just hold, put it on 0, don't count anything. And then start counting when active. So all kind of things are coming to us. Again, decision-making will be in the end. We're not in a hurry. Next week is NAR's conference, which most of the staff is gonna go attend there, just because to hear what's going on. So we're gonna see what's going on, and when we come back, hopefully we can make decision, if a decision needs to be made. Again, those are optional, nothing mandatory, okay? Here's one that differs between the data shares. This status, active contingent. Can you give me what the definition of an active contingent in Paragon is? What do you think it is?
As in, it's active, but there's a.
Contingency on what?
It can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Active as there's things that they're still finalizing.
Things that are still finalizing.
Contingent on the sale of buyer's property, right?
There you go, yep.
That's the
Oh.
only.
So in Paragon,
that applies.
so otherwise it's, everything is gonna be active. So a valid listing contract exists, offer is accepted, contingent on sale of buyer's other property. That's the only time you mark a listing contingent in Paragon. This is one that the data shares could not agree upon. So different MLSs have different definitions. MLS listings, it could be contingent on anything. They have not specified it. However, their listings that are contingent gets in our pending status. Because if we're going to, your listings have to be pending, their listings will show pending in our system too. Yes?
Yeah, a lot of times when I see that status, and I'll call the listing agent, I say, well, tell me about the status of buyer's property, how are they doing with sale? And
And they're like,
sometimes
huh?
they'll just be silent for a while, and go, well, that's what that means.
Yeah.
And then they tell me what the condition says, you're not using the right status.
Yep.
What do you think I do next?
Yep.
I hit the correction
Hit the
button,
correction button
and
in the
I
MLS.
Right back to Bay East, I said, this property is not contingent on the sale of buyer's property. They will then call the listing agent and say, you need to correct the status.
Yep.
It needs to be pending.
Yep.
If it's under contract, this contingency doesn't apply.
Yep.
And that does happen a lot.
It does, yeah. This is one that's constantly being violated.
I'm curious, what's the confusion with, I don't use it, but, people, agents who are not using it correctly, what do they think it is?
Because they say, oh, they have to put the deposit, oh, it's contingent on inspections, or contingent on any deposit, yeah.
Typically, it's like inspections a lot
Yeah.
of times.
So they're thinking, oh, okay, because it's that, I'm gonna mark it contingent, where they can't, because the
And we used to
definition.
have the pending subject to backup that you could
Well,
use for.
we had a lot of different pending status.
Yeah.
But
But
those
now-
were totally being butchered too, so you got rid of them.
We got rid of them, yeah, because everybody's using it the wrong way, and then there is a group called REZO, it's the Real Estate Organization Standards Organization for Real Estate. And they are saying, okay, this should be the standard for all MLSs. So every MLSs are aligning to those standards. And when we updated our statuses, we aligned to those standards. Active contingent we kept, because if we remove that right now, all of you are gonna kill us. So we gotta get at least one contingent in there. But again, if REZO comes with a different contingent, with a different status meaning, we probably will look at it for you.
Just to add, I mean, Bay East does not police everything.
No.
They rely on us to self-police.
Yep.
And that's what the correction button is there for.
Yep.
If you're looking at something and you see a mistake or it's wrong or whatever, use the correction button.
Yep.
No one's gonna come back at you, you're not like the witness being asked to take the stand. and
No.
You're worried that, you're gonna
Yep.
be shot the night before the hearing, okay?
And
It's an anonymous, I mean, they reply
We know
back
who
to you.
hits the- yeah.
Yeah, they tell you, oh yeah, we got it, we're
Yep.
doing something about it,
Yep.
but yet, I do that a lot, because I see so many.
It's your system. If you see something, let us know so we can clean it for you. We're not there to punish anybody. Yes, we know who hits the correction button. No, we don't tell the other agent, so-and-so told on you. We don't do that, but it keeps the system clean. for
And
you.
sometimes it's a great way to actually, I mean, that's how I got clarified on the
Some of the
coming
rules,
soon,
yeah.
Because to me, I was pretty anal about it.
Yeah.
And then I had hit the correction on an MLS listing
Yeah.
coming soon, and I'm going, hey, why are you guys singling me out? You know, my listing, you're taking off in 30 days.
And
here's a
this
listing
one is
in
sitting
60
there
days,
forever.
And then you clarify,
Yeah.
saying, well, that's MLS listing, that's a
Yeah.
different rule. That's not the best way to learn things, but you
It's
know,
one way.
It's one of the ways.
Yes,
you know.
yes, yes.
With the correction button, how many days do they have to put a photo on the MLS once it goes active?
It used to be within 1 day.
Yeah.
We changed it to 3 days to align with the data share MLSs.
3 days to
Uh-huh.
get one on the MLS. Okay, I'll stop hitting that correction button.
Yeah.
Minimum is one picture, right?
One photo of the front exterior is the minimum.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's the minimum.
That's right.
Take it with your cell phone. You know when
Exactly,
you're
yeah.
going to a listing appointment, click
Just
what,
one picture, you're done.
just
But
take
one's
it.
coming soon, right? Just one picture?
Coming soon,
No,
the
I'll
photo's
update.
optional and coming soon.
Okay.
But once it goes live, you have to have at least
One
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 front
picture,
exterior.
One
okay,
time.
Yeah.
okay.
You can
Or
upload
both.
up to 60 photos, but the required is the front main, yep. Reporting of sales, now this is our #1 violation. Agents not reporting pendings or reporting solds on time. So how many days do you have to report a sold or a pending?
I would think 1 day.
3 days.
Oh, 3.
I know.
Too many days.
Again, this is going back to what he says, if we're going to have data shares, we should align. So we align our rules as much as possible. We used to have 1 day.
It used to be one.
That's
It
right.
used to be 1 day. This is one that we said, okay, we'll give up, because all the other MLSs gained that one. I said, no, we have 3, you gotta have 3.
So once the property sells or is
Or
sold.
goes contract, under contract, yeah.
Or it goes under contract, that's when we tell you when the escrow closes.
So once it goes,
Record.
an offer is accepted, you have 3 days to market pending,
Okay,
and then once the escrow is closed, you have 3 days to market sold.
okay.
Yes.
And double check your listing after you.
Yes,
do it,
when you hit
because-
save, please.
Yeah, I've seen prices with an extra digit. It's like, no, you didn't sell for,
$5 million for a 500. Here's one that we're hearing buzzes about. I bet you didn't even know a rule existed. So for sale signs, once a property is sold, how many days do you have to remove the for sale sign?
5 days.
I'll just say 3 days.
Good guess, very good guess. 5 days, within 5 days, you have to remove that sign from the
There
property.
should be a guideline
I have a
for
quick
lock
question.
boxes too. A lot
For-
of people need lock boxes.
Oh, that's not a
Totally
bad idea.
forgotten.
I know, they forget their lock boxes.
So, for instance, if there is a property that's on sale, and
Mhm.
the owner decides, instead, because it doesn't sell because of XYZ reason,
Okay.
and the agent still has their sign up, is that allowed?
Is there a valid listing agreement?
I don't know.
So if
I'm
there's
just
a,
wondering.
if there's a valid listing agreement, which is a good question.
Mhm.
She says that there's a property, it's not being advertised for sale, it's not in the MLS for sale, but the for sale sign is in front of the property. So there's a couple of questions. Is there a valid listing agreement? So you tell us. You
Okay.
take a picture of the sign, you email us, and you say, here's the property address. This sign is on the property, but there's no listed property on the MLS.
Right.
What we do is, we will call the listing agent and ask them, is there a valid listing agreement? If there is, then they have 1 business day to put that listing into the MLS.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to put it in. There's a rule called clear cooperation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the clear
Because,
cooperation.
I mean, that listing was listed, then they took it off, and the owner has put it up for rent now, but the listing agent still has their sign on that property.
So they have the 5 days, so when you tell us that, we will call them and say, hey, you have to remove it, because we have a rule that your for sale sign has to be removed from the property after whatever, within 5 days. Now, they can say, I don't have a listing agreement, but the seller has given me permission to put my sign there, they're not saying anything, then that's the gray area where we can't do anything.
What if it's a community?
Then you call the city,
Okay.
or the HOA.
Okay.
Does the HOA have a policy that they allow signs, that property
Even
that's
though-
not for
Even
sale?
though the property is off the market?
Correct, so you call the HOA, hey, there's a sign, do you guys allow it? Sometimes some people leave, their signs in the intersections and everything. That's something that we don't police, it's the city, so you have to call the city, and the city will fine the agent.
Okay.
Now, I don't know
I'm
how
just wondering.
active each city is in finding and removing, but that's what you do.
One of the recurring issues that we have are agents with listings that post signs on streets
Yes.
with directional arrows that are not in front of the house.
Yeah.
Those are illegal signs.
Yep.
I
Okay?
see one all the time.
The city ordinance only allows you to have one for sale sign, and that for sale sign has to be in front of the house. You cannot have imagine if there was no regulations on signs. We'd have directional signs all over.
Everywhere.
I'd love to have them out there. They're illegal. The problem you have is that code enforcement doesn't have the staff to be going around and taking them down. They rely on us to self-police and call code enforcement and say, hey, there's a sign on Peralta Boulevard for a listing inside the neighborhood. That's an illegal sign. I see those all the time. Some of our former agents do it, okay?
Some number one
And
agents
some
do
of our
it.
number one agents do. There's a
In
street.
specific.
there's
Let's
a
not take
street in
names.
San Diego.
No
There used to
names,
be
but-
5 or 10 signs all along this one section of Paseo Padre. Those are all illegal signs.
Yeah.
I
And
remember,
That's what I was
Don't
wondering.
set a bad example for us and try and do it.
Are those the ones that say follow this line?
Yeah. And no, I'm not talking about open house signs, I'm talking about for sale.
For sale
For sale
signs, but they're
signs.
not by the property, they're
You
just
can
out
only
there in
have
the front.
one sign.
But could another agent report it and just get it taken down? Is the
No, but
question.
it's to the city. The
it's
problem
the
is,
city, yeah.
City.
Fremont, for example,
Mhm.
there was a time I was doing it, I gave up because there's just no, at some point.
They don't have the staff, I
They
guess.
don't have the staff, yeah.
I've watched code enforcement back in the day, see a open house sign in the median, and the guy in his van stops,
Takes it
parks,
out.
gets out, grabs the sign and throws it in his van. and
Yep.
Takes it to a yard. Newark used to take all our signs, and you had to pay, I think it was $25 a sign to get them back.
In fact, it's an income from, I don't know, if they can actually make this an income
Oh, yeah.
division, they will actually be a positive, they'll make.
Bay East
Oh,
can't,
yeah,
but.
I've seen a truck parked in the city right behind
Yeah,
us.
but
The
they're not
pickup
doing
truck,
anything.
the back of it's full of open house signs.
Yeah,
They
it's
got,
free
they were
for
getting a
charge
lot of
$50
citizen
per sign.
complaints.
No, another thing is, those signs get vandalized too by like the public.
Yeah.
And it's like the agent's losing money because it's a perfectly nice post, but they're being vandalized.
I'll
being
tell you a
destroyed.
quick story based on your question about a valid listing agreement. There was a time when the business got really slow. We had a prominent broker who's no longer with us.
Oh,
He lived at the corner of Palm Avenue and Bedford in Mission San Jose, 3/10 of a mile from Mission High School. He would put a for sale sign in front of his house to get buyer leads. He would do that, I mean, we could almost every year when the market was slow, yep, there goes so-and-so, puts a sign out in front of his house to get buyer leads. He did not intend to sell his house, he'd have some, and he didn't put it on the MLS, he just put a sign out there just to get the calls.
That's illegal now, right? I hope it's.
It was illegal back then too.
Yeah.
Oh, how did you get away
Yeah,
with
may
that?
he rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Leave
No.
the guy alone. By the
That
way,
guy passed away. No, he did
I
pass
know this
away.
for sale sign business. I don't know, I've never spoke to anybody about this, but I was selling a property, 2 places it happened to me. In San Jose, somebody keeps stealing one sign every week. I'm like, why one sign? Take them all. So I don't know who takes these signs with my name on it and everything.
You rubbed somebody the wrong
He
way.
takes one sign, no, he doesn't take many, he takes one.
One.
I put it another one, he takes another one.
Oh my God.
So I asked the local agents in the area, I said, hey, who's taking my sign? He said, oh, it's happened to us too.
Oh,
If somebody's just
I've had-
picking up
I've
one
had-
sign.
I've had tons of signs, open house signs stolen, and sign writers as well.
Oh, yeah.
Most people,
Sometimes
most
kids.
people take them to use.
Take 'em where?
Garage
Why?
sales. Yeah, most of the people
Yeah.
that take your signs, they wanna use them.
Use it for garage
sales.
sales, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes
That's why
sense
they
now.
take 'em.
Yeah.
Why is my name on it? What would you take my sign?
They'll put a garage sale sign in front on top
But
of
they
your.
wanna have a replacement, that's
Oh,
probably why.
okay.
They take that out.
My actual for sale board went away, so, you know, I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, you get the whole sign, yeah, I've had that one too.
Okay, let's go into concession and credit. So a while back, you saw that lawsuit happened. And then there are policies that came out of that lawsuit. If you have not heard of that lawsuit,
You're not in real estate.
what rock were you sleeping under? I would say, because it was everywhere, no. But, so, one of the things that came out, and we're gonna go into this one first, is compensation. One of the new policy that came out of that lawsuit, that the compensation cannot be inside of the MLS. So we had to remove all the fields that are in the MLS. We had to go and read every single comments and remove the comments about compensations out. So compensation is no longer allowed in the MLS. Now, at that time, what we did also was, we said sellers' credit or concessions are currently not allowed in the MLS either. What we, because DOJ is still watching us, the FTC is still watching us, the guy who did the lawsuit, I can never pronounce his name, starts with a K and it's this big, but he plain blank came out and said in the Inman News that I'm watching you, I'm planning my next lawsuit. So we were very careful, so even in the MLS, if the credit and concession was not out of that policy, we told our agents, please do not put any credit or concessions in the MLS too, because sometimes what happens is that they will switch it and make it feel like that it's a compensation, that it's not a credit or concession. We are looking back into this to say, how can we allow this information? Because it's good information for you, for your clients to provide that out to the buyers, right? So we're looking at specific verbiage that should be allowed to be used, whether a dollar amount should be in there or not. We're looking at all those
Just put
specific
lots of
items.
dollar symbols, that's it.
No, don't do that.
Symbol.
Don't do
I'm
that,
just
because if you put dollar,
That's it.
no, because people were getting creative. Honest to God, we sent violations for agents still putting compensation
Oh, no.
in the MLS. And the first violation's $500.
Yeah.
No courtesy call, nothing. We'll fine. So agents were getting creative. I had an agent that wrote a sentence, and in that sentence, he capitalized every first letter of the word,
With a
and
dollar
it
sign.
spelled out the percentage.
Wow.
$3 sign, getting creative. $2 sign, getting creative. Another agent had mowed the lawn. Did you see that photo? He or she, I don't know if it was a he or she, mowed the lawn with the percentage and uploaded that photo in the MLS.
Wow.
The
Did you
crew-
find him?
First thing we do is we remove it from the
Yeah,
MLS,
yeah.
and of course fine goes out, yes.
But how? Because it's not, technically it's not.
It is!
Isn't it?
What do you think it is?
I think it's creative.
Of course it's
It
creative.
wasn't me, though.
No, it wasn't you, but don't get creative right now, especially right now. With compensation, do it outside of the MLS, no problem. Don't do it outside of the MLS, because then here comes another lawsuit and more restrictions on you.
The attorney you're trying to think of is Michael Ketchmark.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
But can you clarify, when you report a listing, you've got it, or at least you had a field that says
Compensation, or concession, yes,
yes or no?
yes.
So
We
what
still
are,
have that.
what are, specifically, what are you referring to? Because I don't think most agents know one way or another.
That's why we don't allow the comments.
And there's no comments.
There's
but-
no comments. When you mark a listing sold, there will be a field that says, it's only when you mark it sold now. When you're marking it sold, there will be a question, concession, yes or no. And this is concession that's given to the buyers, not credit or concession, whether it's credit to fix the roof or credit for HOA fees it's to the buyers, nothing to the buyer agent.
But does that include a concession to the buyer to pay the buyer's broker?
They can, as long as that money was paid to the buyers, the
Right, well,
buyers can then pay that,
Yeah,
that's fine.
well, that's what the contract says.
Yeah?
Okay, so, yeah, because see, I think you need to make a bigger deal about that.
Yeah.
Because that should be specified.
We could definitely
When
put a
that
little
exists.
comment thing in there.
See, Roya, probably, well, I researched all our buyer sites from August 12th till a couple of months ago, and I only found 3 where the buyer paid their broker. In all other deals, the seller paid the buyer.
Pay the buyer, yeah.
But when I looked at that field, there was very few that said yes.
Wow.
But
So
they
you-
should say yes,
Yeah,
okay? And I know most people aren't getting that detailed or in their analysis, but if anybody's trying to keep track of data.
Correct.
If someone says, what if a reporter calls you up and says, well, hey, what percentage of the deals are the sellers paying the buyer's side?
Yeah.
If that question's answered correctly,
then we can.
because you
give
know
them
9 times out of
information.
10, it's probably gonna be the commission, it's not gonna be a credit
The
for
credit,
closing
yeah.
costs, it's gonna be the commission.
Yeah,
I
because
think we have-
Because I even in our office, I saw all these no's, but I had a feeling that, and I checked with our agent, hey, because I was doing some research and some data compilation, and I said, did you pay the buyer? And they go, yeah, but when they reported it, they said
They
no.
said no.
Because they didn't understand the distinction. I think agents, when they hear concession, they're thinking a
Compensation.
credit towards closing costs, or
Yeah.
credit for something else, not the commission, because that's a new thing.
Yeah, so I think we have some
Yeah, I think,
education to do.
yeah,
on
I
our
think you
part.
need to educate everybody
Yeah.
that it's yes, when 3G3 is part of the contract,
Yeah.
the answer is yes to that
Yes, to
question.
that question,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was just thinking, instead of putting dollar amount, I don't wanna spend more time on this than.
So right now, it's not allowed,
Yeah,
so
there's-
what we're
Can you
talking
put,
about
can you
is.
put a yes, no answer, or that's not allowed either?
There's
Not
no
right
fi-
now, there is
no
nothing
field,
allowed.
There's no field there.
Yep, there's
I know it's no field, but
even in
just
the
for the
confidential
MLS.
remarks, nope,
I
don't
know
put
in the-
anything right
In the
now.
beginning, it was allowed to say yes or no, but no percentage, but then they changed that.
We
too.
changed that rule
Yeah.
right away, because we
Yeah.
start seeing agents paying credit or concession to the buyer, not the buyer agent, and we didn't want you guys to get in trouble.
Okay.
So right now, we said no
Nothing.
credit, no concession, no compensation, nothing's allowed in Paragon.
See, the other reason that it's important, technically, is for the appraisers.
Yes.
Because the appraisers need to know.
Yep,
When you're a listing broker, if you get a call from the appraiser, a good appraiser is gonna ask you who paid the commission,
yep.
okay?
Yeah, I mean.
That's a 2.5 to 3% fluctuation in
Now,
value.
The one thing is that even if they say yes, it doesn't always mean,
No,
it
right.
doesn't always
Well,
mean
like I
that.
said, a good appraiser
We'll call
if
and
they're
get the
concerned
information.
about that,
Yep.
they're gonna ask,
Yep.
what was that concession for?
For, yep.
I've had that question
Yeah.
asked of me.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you put no, well, then they're just gonna, if they don't, they're gonna assume, well, I guess the buyer paid the commission because it says no.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, again, I just, to echo the conversation here, it is very confusing because it's just one field, it happens post-sale, it's yes or no. So, some people are marking yes, I am myself not clear.
yeah.
Now, when I've been last 3 listings I've done this year, since that change,
Mhm.
when they've closed, I have marked it yes, but when I've marked it yes, the situation has been that the buyer's agent, through the BRBC, asked the seller to pay the buyer's brokerage. right?
Okay.
It's through the BRB, so there was nothing to the buyer per se.
So that's a no, that's not a yes.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
because it's, to me, one way or the other, the seller paid.
Yeah, but three G
But
three
again,
is
it's-
seller to buyer. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
it's
It's
not. the-
seller
to
to
the-
buyer, not seller to the buyer's
Correct, and so
agent.
that's why I'm saying, right, it's, to me, it was, we paid the
Okay, I'm a
buyer's,
little
the
confused.
seller paid the buyer's
Buyer's
brokerage.
brokerage.
I marked it yes. Yet at the end of the day, the appraiser has, now, when I am giving something to the appraiser and it is my listing,
Mhm.
I am saying the seller has agreed to pay, you know, a commission.
But outside of the MLS.
Outside of, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
as long
Oh,
as
yeah,
it's
yeah.
outside of the
It's,
MLS.
it's the submission to the appraiser to say, here is the comparables we've used
Correct.
and this and that, and they've paid. So when you're doing the comparison, you know, you have, that's a criteria that you have to keep in mind, because now there is no way to tell that home price of the sale that you're seeing of the comparable,
Mhm.
did that include a 2, 3, 1.5, whatever that percentage
yeah.
was? Did it include or did it not include?
But what I can say is as long as it's outside of the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
You're in compliance with the lawsuit policy and our
Correct.
policy and our policy.
So I'm just trying to understand here, so when we mark the GG, right, it's
3G3.
when the, sorry, thank you. I have so many
It's
things in
okay.
mind when I got the acronyms wrong, but, so if the seller credits the buyer can use that credit to pay their agent.
Sure.
Is that the way to go?
Yes, you can, they
Oh,
can,
right.
they don't have to,
So
they
you
can.
can say, you say no if the seller's agent, given the seller's permission, I mean, I know it's.
No, keep
it's-
going, you're fine.
Given the seller's permission for the seller agent to buy the buyer, to, you know, give commission.
To
or
give
credit,
commission to the buyer's agent, then that field is no.
then that field is no.
Correct. So if it's paid to the buyer, and buyer can do whatever they want, pay whoever they want, it's a yes.
Mhm.
If it's paid to the buyer's agent directly, then it's a no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a weird negotiation.
So it's credit to the buyer. How you negotiate outside, it's totally up to you and your brokerage.
Not to belabor the point, folks. As of November, we should no longer be entering into any cooperative broker agreements. And all our forms were changed to reflect that. Okay? The Department of Justice does not want to see us cooperating, period. You use 3G3, and that is seller to buyer. There should no longer be any,
yeah.
there should no longer be any broker-to-broker agreements.
And that CBC
Okay.
form is gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
It's gone, yep. You can't
Now,
find it
I'll
on
just-
zip form.
Just real quick, while we're on this point, there is a related issue here. The title and escrow industries need to get on board too, because there is a question on the preliminary change of ownership report, which asks the buyer, was the buyer's broker's compensation paid by the buyer
Yep.
or someone else other than the seller? And that goes to the assessor's office. And if that question's not answered correctly, and the assessor comes back and finds out that it wasn't the normal way, that buyer could be charged with fraud on the assessor, okay, by the assessor. And believe it or not, I've put escrow officers on alert when there was a situation where the buyer was paying. I said, did you, because what happens is, the escrow officers will fill a P-Core out to a certain extent, and then they'll leave a bunch blank for the buyer to fill out, okay? And usually the terms of the transaction, the escrow officer will fill out. Well, they should be putting that commission in on that P-Core so that it's correctly reported to the assessor. That's not necessarily happening.
Sounds
okay?
like another class.
The point is, and we probably need to do a better job as a broker, when you represent a buyer, you need to make sure, especially when your buyer is paying your fee, to make sure that they accurately fill out that P-Core at the sign-off. And I know that's a big ask of them,
protects
But
you.
the escrow officer will leave certain information blank for the buyer to fill out, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure our buyer understands that you need to accurately fill out this form. Okay?
I know, no,
And-
don't
yeah.
stress out.
No, no,
It's
no,
real.
no, no, I am.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm
when
just
and here's the,
Yeah.
and CR Legal is aware of this, okay, because I brought it to their attention a few months back, that's when I was doing that research. And I said, hey, we've got an industry-wide problem.
Yeah.
Because we need to educate title and escrow as to how the P-Corps needs to be completed.
Yeah.
Now that we've got buyers, some buyers paying their broker compensation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
That's why he
kind of a
gets the big
slip-
bucks,
It's kind of a
okay?
slippery,
Yeah.
slippery slope, okay, because that question's there and it's been there for a long time, but it kind of, it's just been forgotten.
We need another class on escrow.
On
Yeah.
escrow. That's out of my realm, it's like,
Well, I was sharing it for you, too,
Yeah,
just so
no.
you're aware of
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah.
It is out there, CAR legal's still kind of sitting on it, they haven't come out and done anything or said anything. Because I told them, you need to get with the representatives of the title industry and educate them.
Yeah.
Because my escrow officer, I blew her away when I brought that up, she goes, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So just to kind of sum it up, say that, okay, the buyer's agent asks for a credit to the buyer from the seller, and the
Okay,
seller
well,
agrees.
you're saying ask for a credit. The ask for a credit is for a concession or closing cost other than buyer's broker's commission. That's treated separately from all other credits,
Okay.
okay? We have a separate paragraph for credits for closing costs.
Mhm.
That's above 3G3, I think it's 3G2 or 3G1, okay? You gotta compartmentalize commission separate from all other credits.
Yep.
There's two different lines in the contract.
I'm
The
good for
first
three.
line is for credits for closing costs, and folks, never, ever, ever write in a credit for repairs, or a credit for paint, or a credit for roof. Those are red flags to the underwriter. That's gonna trigger a call for inspection reports. It's gonna put loan conditions. You do not wanna ever say that. The only credit you ever put in a contract is credit for closing costs, period. You never say what it's for. Okay, just remember that. Now, the payment by the seller to the buyer for the commission is 3G3.
Mhm.
The seller pays it, is charged it, but on the settlement statement, it appears as a credit to the buyer.
And so when
Okay?
it comes to.
Because it's a closing cost of the buyer.
Mhm.
See,
Okay.
it will, on the buyer settlement statement, it will have a line item for it, a properly compared settlement statement will have a line item for the charge, and then it will have a credit from the seller offsetting that charge, so it zeroes out on the buyer's settlement statement. But that's a different line item and a different credit than credits for closing costs. You
Yeah.
understand the distinction here?
Yeah, I understand the distinction.
Okay.
I think what I'm getting at is for the when it comes to escrow, the officers, the escrow officers, and how the form is, you were saying, how the form is, goes to the assessor, and if it's
That's
not marked.
the preliminary change of ownership report.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're not familiar with that document, you need to pull one up and read it, so you know what your buyer is signing in escrow. Now, here's the other challenge in our industry is 9 out of 10 sign-offs are no longer occurring in front of the escrow officer. They're occurring with a mobile notary, okay? And so then what happens is, if that mobile notary doesn't thoroughly go through that statement and make sure it's complete, it gets back to the escrow officer, and if it's incomplete, they'll go back to the buyer and say, hey, you forgot to you forgot to check whether you're gonna occupy the property and when you plan to occupy it, okay? There's some certain questions in there. But if the escrow officer not on top of things, on that second page, they may not even think to question that having been left blank. Okay, again, the problem is our industry, the way we're doing things is not perfect. Okay, but most people that in the know feel that we as brokers should be advising our buyers to make sure that they thoroughly complete that form and do not rely on what is being provided to them by an escrow officer, because they only fill it out partially. Okay? I don't know if I answered. I don't know if I answered.
My question was with, well, we can't say concession, I'm just.
You
Just
can say
it.
Just say, the concession.
Concession, the word concession applies to any payment by the seller to the buyer for anything.
Okay.
That's a concession. But in our contract, we separate the commission concession from all other concessions.
Okay.
The first line at the top of, page 2, that's where you put your credit for closing costs.
Right.
3G3 comes after that.
Yeah, no,
That's it,
I
yeah.
understand that part. My whole thing was with the escrow and how they're not doing things right, where, the buyer
Yeah, well-
is,
Well, then
could be
it's
in
not,
trouble.
here's the problem.
Yeah,
What an escrow officer invariably does on the terms section, they put the price of the property, and that's all they put. And 99 out of 100 times, the assessor's office will accept that form with just that. So they've been, that's how they normally do it. That's kind of how they've been trained to do it. They don't worry about all the other data in there. But now they need to be, because we have buyers, maybe up to 5% of the deals, we have buyers paying their broker directly. And that needs to be reflected on that form. Bottom line is this: if you represent a buyer and your buyer's paying you, that's when you need to make sure your buyer knows on that P-Core, there's a question that's gonna ask you, was there any fee paid by you to me? And that item the commission needs to be stated there. That's the bottom line.
okay,
So
so,
the seller
I
pays-
have one slide and then you guys can continue this call slide. But just one more slide here and then you can continue.
yeah, no, this is all great information, I was just,
So, do you know what the clear cooperation policy is?
Yes.
Okay, so you take a listing and it doesn't go on the MLS for whatever reason, please make sure that it's not publicly marketed. That's you putting a for sale sign in front of the house, talking to, putting it on social media, sending a blast email to everybody, that's public marketing. So if you publicly market a property, Clear Cooperation says, then you have to put the listing into the MLS within 1 business day. Now, NAR had one little carve out where they just have a carve out on it, and this is going to be debated next week at NAR. The new carve out at that time, NAR said 1-to-1 marketing within your firm was okay, no problem. Now they're saying 1-to-1 discussion even outside of your firm does not trigger Clear Cooperation. And a lot of people are upset about this. And next week, again, National Association of Conference is happening, and then there's going to be a motion. I don't know if they're going to make a motion, but the upset agents are going there to have a discussion to take this part out, take this carve out. That 1-to-1 communication should be just within your office, not outside. Otherwise, broker can go, Keller Williams can call Coldwell Banker, can call Redfin, can call Zillow and say, I have this listing. If you have a buyer for it, that's 1-to-1. And that's okay, and it wouldn't trigger putting it on the MLS. So some people like it, some people don't like it. As of right now, it is allowed, but God knows what's going to happen after next week if NAR is going to change anything. And if they do, please look out in our newsletter, in the MLS pop-up, we will put that information out. So, clear cooperation, if you market a property, it has to go into the MLS within 1 business day, keep that in mind, okay? And I think that's it. Yeah, if you go to bayeast.org, under MLS tab, you'll see rules. Yeah, and you can download the entire set. So if you're bored one day or you can't fall asleep, start reading it, watch. You'll fall asleep in 5 minutes.
Just go to MLS and tools, right?
MLS
And
and then
rules and forms.
rules and forms, yeah, you'll see it there. Okay, but again,